Story One African Time. Thank you for joining. So some time ago, I started this story on TikTok and Instagram. All right, and I'm going to give you a really quick recap, and then I will continue on with the story. We will proceed with the next part, with the next chapter. Okay, and so now on TikTok and Instagram, same story. I told you guys about a time when I had picked up a shift. It was a registry shift, meaning I did not work for that facility. I picked up a shift in this convalescent home, subacute, whatever it is you want to call it. It was not a hospital. It was a place in which people typically go when they need further care, when they need like more rehab before they can actually go home, or it's a place where they live permanently. So I was supposed to be the nursing supervisor, except I still didn't have access to any of their documentation systems or documenting systems. I couldn't document. I couldn't log in. I didn't have a username and password. Okay, there it is. So when it came time to cover nurses for breaks, because at that facility it was going to be my responsibility to cover the other nurses. And so I couldn't do it because if any of the patients needed medications, I couldn't pull a medication and administer the medication without being able to document that the medication was given. And I don't like the idea of someone else pulling it under their name and me. It was too much. So the nurses agreed to cover one another, which I thought was very nice. So fast forward, it is now break covering time, and there's this nurse Jackie that's currently on her break, and Josephine is covering Jackie. I'm sitting at the nurse's station trying to figure out what the flippity flip flick firk to do with the paperwork that they left for me to do for all these admissions, because I've never worked here before. I don't know what to do with it. And so these two women in suits come up to me and they were like, there was a patient that complained about the care that she was receiving, or the patient's family, whatever. I send them to where the patient's room is, point them in that direction, and I continue doing what I don't really know what I'm doing, okay? And they come back a few minutes later and they push this little baggie of a white substance in front of me and towards me, asking me what it is. I said, first of all, I felt like I had expressed to y'all that I don't even work here. I'm registry, so if you have questions, I can't answer them. What do you want me to tell you about this white substance? I could tell you exactly what you're thinking. That looks like an illegal drug. What am I supposed to do now? And so they tell me that Josephine, who's covering Jackie, said that when she returned from her lunch, she would be administering this crushed substance via the peg tube of a patient. The patient that they were talking about does not have a peg tube. Okay? So a peg tube, just in case you missed the story, is a tube that is inserted through the abdominal wall into the stomach for people who can no longer ingest food orally. And so when you crush a medication, it's because you have to liquefy it to get it into the tube. Anyways, so I said, listen, that nurse is on her break. That whole entire story sounded incredibly sketchy. You crushed a medication, left the medication, and said that you would administer it when you get back. So I said, listen, Jackie is on her break. I can't answer any questions about this medication. I don't have an assignment. I don't have a set of patients that I'm caring for. I don't really know much about this facility. I don't know the protocols. I'm still trying to figure stuff out. I'm a registry nurse. And so they said, well, how long are the breaks typically and what time did she leave? They're just interrogating me. And I understand, you know, it might be protocol. They need to figure out what's going on. They already came in here on some skepticism shit, taki mushrooms. Is there hair on my face? I feel like there's something on my, is it my hair? It's my hair. Is it? Okay, anyways, fast forward. So I understand protocol, ask the appropriate questions, do what you gotta do. First of all, who are y'all? They tell me they're from some investigative narcotic something something of the board. I don't know. They were important people from an important place. I don't know. All right, they clearly came here on a mission. And at that point, I was beginning to realize nobody had actually complained. They had came here with the intent to actually investigate that particular nurse. And as time progressed and they continued asking me questions, I began to put two and two together. Jackie ain't coming back. Jackie didn't come back. So then they're asking me questions. Then they go over there to ask Josephine questions. I don't know what Josephine is telling them because obviously they can't ask the two of us questions together. But I'm being just as honest as I could possibly be. I don't know. I didn't even know that this facility had a history of nurses utilizing the narcotics illegally. So then I get pulled into a room away from the desk. I ask another nurse if she could man the desk. And they start telling me, you know, there's a long history of this nurse doing X, Y, Z, and yada, yada, yada. And we find it difficult to believe that you were unaware that this was going on. I said, for someone who has done an exceptional amount of research, I feel like you would have seen my name pop up somewhere in that list of staff members, but you probably didn't see it because I don't work here. So I feel like you should have put that together. You should have put those two twos together to come up with the four, which is that, how would I know? I'm in there just defending myself because I have a license to protect. And I don't need anybody putting any weird marks on my license because another nurse was being sneaky and I just decided to pick that day and that facility to make some extra money. Yo, I was very angry. And again, I'm trying to understand the whole protocol situation thing. None of it was making any sense. It was hard for me to put things together. So I called the director, okay, the number that they gave me, and I said, you need to come up here because they're under the impression that I have something to do with all the nonsense that's going on. Did you know that these people were going to come up here to investigate said nurse? She said, yes, I did. Now, just a quick recap. Me and this director spent about 15 minutes on the phone doing a half-ass orientation. You don't think that at any point in time during that conversation she could have said to me, such and such will be there. These individuals will arrive to do an investigation, or you could have said something, anything. And not only that, you could have told them that a registry nurse would be working and that she is not likely to know anything. And so I hand them the phone. And she updates them and they lay off my case. But then they end up doing a search of all the other nurses. It's just, and then, you know, there are these police officers that come. The director finally ends up showing up. This facility is like it turns out, was like a center for illegal drug administration. It was like a drop-off ground. How did I not know that? How did I not know that this place was the place that people went to do shit like that? All your girl was trying to do was make some money. Extra money. So then, of course, they pull the director into the room. And, of course, they have to do her fair share of interrogating. Everything. I end up being sent home. But moral of the story, that whole facility ends up getting shut down. I don't know if they end up finding the nurse at all, but I felt like that was the most uncomfortable experience, and mainly because I thought my license was on the line. I didn't know that in these circumstances, they are quick to pair you with an illegal situation. That doesn't make any sense to me. You don't have any reason to assume that I have anything to do with any of this. And here you are in here looking at me like, well, according to whatever it is you got, I don't work here. I don't got nothing to do with nothing. Anyways, moral of the story, my license is safe and intact. And I am still practicing nursing. Okay? Don't do drugs. Don't steal drugs from a nursing facility as a nurse. Why I got to tell you that?